This is Queer News Tonight. In the headlines, Flight Center has historic Sunshine Pride House offering refuge to LGBTQ plus youth facing homelessness. Executive Director Christine Frederick joins us this evening and gives us all the details.
Anti-trans legislation poses threats to LGBTQ plus health. Advocates warn of increased isolation, hypertension risks, and worsened mental health due to discriminatory policies.
Biden administration confirms 11 LGBTQ plus federal judges, tying Obama's record. One more LGBTQ plus judge and Biden will make American history. Will he do it?
Ireland's Prime Minister Leo Varadkar resigns, citing personal and political reasons. Known for LGBTQ plus advocacy, he leaves office after 7 years.
Philanthropist Mackenzie Scott's $30 million donation to 15 LGBTQ plus nonprofits aims to bolster access and resources for the community. Scott says LGBTQ plus is vital for our broader community.
Hello and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news, broadcasting live and then available on demand on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch, YouTube, and of course, Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It is Thursday, March 21st, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ plus news, you will see and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ plus community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our queer culture, Black community, Latino, lesbians and queer women, trans students and youth, seniors, HIV and AIDS healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. In 2024, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
All right, well, let's begin by meeting tonight's panel. Up first, JPL for scientists stands for Jet Propulsion Laboratory, but for queers in the know, they know JPL stands for Jasmin Pryce Lords. This drag queen is known as the plus-size Barbie and bearded beauty. She is the Florida mother of the iconic House of Lords and the current Mixed Imperial Sun Court of all Florida and the current Miss Pub on the Drive at large. You can catch many of her at her popular venues in South Florida, including Friday nights hosting popular RuPaul's Drag Race viewing party at the Well here in Wilton Manors. Jasmin, Jasmin.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me back.
What are we expecting this Friday? Because we're getting down to the nitty gritty.
A lot of shade, a lot of fun. I'm close with a lot of the girls, so I already know what's happening. I know everybody's going to be excited. And there's going to be a lot of emotions this week. I'll say that.
Spoilers.
No, okay, you're hanging back with me after we wrap the show.
I got you.
Up next, Dr. Bobby Huen, a certified civil and family mediator and founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. Originally from Hong Kong and having grown up around the world, he offers a queer global perspective on current events. Bobby, of course, Transgender Day of Visibility is coming up next Thursday, and AHF is holding a special event. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
They are having a special event on March 31st. Mm-hmm. It will feature some light bites. It's a Sunday, so they are serving mimosas, and it is going to be a celebration of the trans people in this community. I believe it's taking place in downtown Fort Lauderdale, where the AHF headquarters is.
Okay, so Transdia Visibility is this coming Thursday, but the event will be on Sunday,
31st.
the 31st.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Up next, a first-timer, Christine Frederick. She is a youth services expert and the director of FLITE Center here in Fort Lauderdale in South Florida. Celebrating 15 years of being South Florida's leader in helping youth develop essential skills, they have partnered with Sunshine Cathedral and our fund to create an emergency youth housing program called Sunshine Pride House that opened in January. Now, of course, we're going to get to that in a second. We're going to get to an event in a second. But first, this is your first time on the show. Welcome.
It is. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm going to need you to tell me your entire life story in 7 seconds or less. Start at the beginning, leave nothing out, go.
Okay, well, I'm Puerto Rican and from New York, from the Bronx, so that should be really easy.
That's
Born
the
in
key word.
PR, raised in New York, and here in South Florida trying to make a difference for our youth.
And you are. We're going to talk about FLITE Center and the new Sunshine House that I've gotten a chance to go inside to. And we are going to get to that here in a minute. But up first, Scene Studio 54 Reinvented is going to be at the Hard Rock. It's a gala or party that FLITE Center is putting on.
At their nightclub.
Yes, at Dare at Seminole Hard Rock. Tell us a little bit about what's coming up with that.
So we created this event really to be a good time. It's centered around that Studio 54 vibe that is that New York kind of party life, really, but glitzy, like, I mean, it's an amazing event. We had such a blast last year. We had performances from Cher and who we all know plays Cher, right?
Mr. Goodman?
Yes, Mr. Goodman. And so we're going to have a lot of great live performances that night as well, and it's just going to be a whole lot of fun.
That's exciting. I can't wait to get to it, and we're going to talk a lot more here in about 3 minutes. Okay. But up next, I want to welcome anchor Bad Papi, a Latine gender-fluid drag artist who redefines what it means to be trans and non-binary in the Latin community. Bad Papi is also the executive director of Reflect Collective. Check out her sweatshirt, or their sweatshirt, my apologies. Nonprofit that serves QTPOC survivors of sexual and domestic violence. Bad Papi Queer Fest is returning to Miami and Little Haiti Cultural Center April 25th and 26th, correct?
It's just April 25th, so it's going to be from 6 to 11 p.m. Okay. And basically what's happening is we're inviting queer artists from all over South Florida to come and celebrate resilience. So these artists are survivors of violence, and we are giving them the platform to basically showcase their art, come to the community, and heal through the community. We're also giving local businesses the opportunity to sell their stuff at the event, and we also have a queer survivor art exhibit, a sensory space for people who get triggered by the event, and just like really fun things happening. So please come out. We have food, vendors, artists, you name it. It's going to be in Little Haiti Cultural Complex, April 25th, 6 to 11 p.m.
That sounds phenomenal.
It is going to be phenomenal. Last year's event was fabulous.
We have a bunch of like top performers coming too, like Sin Silva, Yoko Oso. We have Cosmic Divinity, Nami Flair. We have artists from all over. So if you're down to come, like, please do. We have tickets at bit.ly/queerfest2024, and it's free. So
sounds like an event nobody should miss.
Absolutely. Now, I know that art is a phenomenally productive form of therapy for people to recover from trauma.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about the artists that will be coming and what it takes to put that out there, to not only say, yes, I am a victim, but I am a survivor, and here is how I express myself.
Yeah, so every survivor chooses to express themselves in different ways, you know. So as Bad Papi, I'm a dragtivist, so I like mixing, drag with my activism. So I do performances kind of related to that. But there's other artists out there who use, for example, poetry to like express themselves, or music to express themselves. And we're going to have a wide variety of artists like coming, even comedy more so. So like, we have a lot of different like art venues, not art venues, art avenues. Yeah, art avenues, art expressions that are coming out and just like literally like telling their story and recounting like their survivorship and their resilience towards that experience.
Awesome. It's a great group. It's going to be a great night. If get your ticket. If you've already got plans this far out, girl, you don't. Buy a ticket, and if you do have plans, buy a ticket anyway and just let it be a donation because they are awesome.
Thank you.
All right. And of course, this is tonight's lead anchor, John Hayden. Let's welcome John Hayden, a journalist for 29 years. He is now a senior reporter for Out South Florida. You can follow him on Instagram at John Hayden Journalist for breaking news and live reports from community events. His new entertainment show, The W Boys, is live Fridays on this same Bat channel. Welcome, John.
Thank you so much. And it is great to be back at the table with a great panel tonight. Last night, Fay What? We were out together. That's us at Lips Nightclub. Arts United held their 25th anniversary or birthday party last night at Lips. The girls, as always, were fabulous. They auctioned off 2 seats on the Goodyear Blimp, a 45-minute ride for you and a friend all around Broward County on the Goodyear Blimp. And if I had money, I'd bought it. So, but the money that they did raise is going to a good cause. So I'm really happy for them. Happy birthday, Arts United. I really, really appreciate the night.
And may I just say, Faye, I saw the pictures. Her waist is so snatched. Kudos to her. She's always beautiful, but that gown looked stunning yesterday.
I know she was like if like Lady Gaga and Cher had a love child, that was Faye last night. Girl, you were fierce, and I was 100% there for it. Well, we are the reporters of Queer News Tonight, and tonight we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community around the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for Thursday, March 21st, 2024. Let's queer up students and youth culture. Christine Frederick and FLITE Center discuss Sunshine House and LGBTQ plus youth crisis. The Sunshine Pride House officially opened its doors January 1st this year to provide sanctuary for unhoused LGBTQ plus young adults, offering shelter, counseling, education, and life skills. Sunshine Cathedral, SunServe, and FLITE Center, alongside 2 donors and the Our Fund Foundation, spearheaded this initiative. LGBTQ plus youth are about 7% of the U.S. young population, but make up 40% of unhoused youth, facing disproportionate levels of hardship. Black LGBTQ plus youth, and especially young Black men, experience heightened housing instability. With the collaborative efforts of individuals like Michael Kalb and Terry Merlin and other organizations, Sunshine Pride House was formed in Fort Lauderdale. It's a duplex and has accommodations for up to 12 LGBTQ plus young adults, a crucial step forward in addressing this pressing issue. Sunshine Pride House, under the ownership of Sunshine Cathedral, benefits from more than 50 years of property management expertise. FLITE Center broadly specializes in providing comprehensive services to unhoused youth and helping their transition into independent adulthood. Christine Frederick, CEO of FLITE Center, said, quote, "The program serves as a model for current straight and mixed housing facilities with a strong emphasis on compassion and cultural competency," end quote. Sunshine Pride House is a huge step taken in the right direction at the right time. For more information or to make a donation, visit our-fund.org. And we are excited, or at least I am, to welcome Executive Director Christine Frederick of the FLITE Center. Queer News Tonight. Again, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I was in there like the week after it opened, and I mean, it's a home. It's not a house. It's not just shelter.
Right.
It's a home.
It's meant to be that way.
It's a duplex. Each side has 3 bedrooms that can host
6 bedrooms.
6 bedrooms that can host up to 12 people at a time. So how is it going so far?
Great. I mean, you know, the exciting thing is that we launched the pilot of this about a year ago, and we had, you know, rented a house that was about 5 bedrooms, and we're kind of trying everything out, doing the whole, you know, test and pivot and, you know, figuring out the model. And so now youth have moved in to the first side of the duplex, so the first 6 bedroom, 2 bath unit. And it's going well. I mean, we love partnering with SunServe on this. This was just something that was immensely important to me personally, but something that was a labor of love, you know, for all of us. We had to really be committed, bear down, and work through what it would look like. What would it look like for this to be successful? And I believe that we've figured out that formula.
And there are essentially 3 legs to this stool.
Right.
SunServe is helping with health, especially with emphasis on mental health and getting young people into treatment. Sunshine Cathedral owns the property itself, and Flight Center is providing life skills.
Right. Well, we go in. There's a lot more to it.
Right.
Flight Center places over 600 homeless youth and youth exiting out of foster care into housing each year. So we're really the hub for youth who are homeless and trying to age into adulthood, who are unaccompanied and coming from a history of trauma. So we're really there leveraging our expertise and not only setting up safe houses and kind of the safe landing spaces is what we really call them. So we're going into the home, making sure everything inside the house is okay. We're doing those life skills pieces. We help them to then have a long-term plan for housing beyond the Sunshine Pride House. So it's meant to be kind of a safe landing space and then like a springboard for them to be able to move forward, put them into long-term sustainable housing, follow them through that process, negotiate with the landlords, and do all of those pieces as well. So,
and this is not a crash pad. Like there are staff. No, I'm saying there is staff there. There is a place, or they're like always on call.
Correct.
I don't know how they do their job. I mean, because they are always getting texts. When I was there interviewing them, they were coming in and they're there on call for these kids when nobody else is.
Right. And so it's meant to be a blend of, obviously we understand that our young people are homeless, but we don't want it to feel like a homeless shelter. That's the whole point behind it being a home, is that we don't want it to feel like a shelter. We want it to feel like home. We want to set up normalcy. So, we have chores, everyone's respectful of each other's space. There's some guidelines and rules. And the whole point is meant to be that they're able to work together and live, in the community, understand all of the things that it takes to take care of a property, change, the air, AC filter, all of these pieces. But we know that our young people are hurting. And so there's the important piece of us wrapping our services around them and being on call, because crises don't happen between 9 to 5 when it's convenient. During business hours, crisis is happening in the middle of the night sometimes you're triggered, sometimes you wake up and, from a bad dream, sometimes you might be coming home from somewhere and feel unsafe. And it's really important that our staff are responsive to those needs for all of our young people.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Oh, I think it's such an amazing thing that you're doing. So I used to go to Pride Lines Youth Services Miami many moons ago, and I had a lot of friends in foster care. I myself ended up in foster care, and this would have been a great service to be a part of. So thank you for what you're doing for our future generations, because could have definitely used this 20 years ago.
Something that's exactly why we created it, right? Because we realized that there's a huge gap. And no young person, just because, for any reason, we have various safe houses and safe landing spaces, Flight Center does. But this was really important to us during a really important time for our young people who are facing so much of the traumas that are going on right now. There's so much political heat. There's just so much, hate and rejection going on, and we really needed to step up.
And you're creating the mold and the new standard for how this get done. I mean, I can't imagine the amount of work that goes into. It's not an easy task to even begin with. And then you have nothing to really base on how to go, where to start, what to make the next
there haven't really been other models.
Right, you're creating it. So
which is fabulous. Fabulous.
Right.
That's awesome.
I wanted to ask for any youth viewers who are watching, so how do they get access to this housing? What are the age requirements, eligibility? So can you elaborate more about?
So the house is for 18 and up, because of course they have to be, legal adults. And obviously if they're going through something and they're under 18, we can certainly engage with services, but there's a lot more complexities with it, right? Because if you're under 18, you're a minor, and we need to kind of engage some other services, some other pieces. So the house is for 18 and up, really focused on 18 to 25. But of course there's latitude, because again, no one fits in a certain box, in a certain mold. And we're always sensitive to each individual's situation. They can reach out to Flight Center. They can reach out to SunServe. They can come here to Sunshine Cathedral. And as soon as you say Sunshine Pride House, they're gonna reach out to our team, and our team will immediately start to triage. Make a phone call if it's just a phone call to say, hey, what's going on? Let's understand. Or if you're in person, we'll come here. We'll bring you to FLITE. SunServe will come here. Obviously, they're on campus over here as well. So, the whole point was meant for the services to be accessible.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
I hope people are able to use the whoever's watching or use these.
I mean, one of the biggest things is obviously continuing to donate, help us keep the house going. These donors that stepped up were incredibly gracious. Michael Kalb and Terry Merlin, who who purchased the property, gave the money for the purchase of the property. And so there's not an overhead. Young people don't have to pay anything to stay there, but our goal is to really make it a sustainable model with the staff that needs to be involved, the services that the youth need on site, food and clean, toiletries, clean bedding, all of those items. And then, of course, getting them housed for the long term after that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, you're not going anywhere.
No,
you're
I'm not
sticking
going
around.
anywhere.
You're here with us for the rest of the show.
I'm committed. I'm committed.
You're stuck. Our director's already strapped you in. You're not going anywhere. All right.
Next, let's queer up health. Study shows that anti-LGBTQ plus attacks have created LGBTQ plus health crisis. This year, several states have proposed legislation aimed at restricting the rights of transgender individuals and other members of the LGBTQ plus community. Legislators in multiple states are seeking to redefine sex based on reproductive capacity. However, these bills are facing opposition and haven't so far made significant progress. According to the ACLU, only 5 anti-LGBTQ plus bills have become law this year. Additional advancing such legislation, such as Florida, Utah, and West Virginia, have concluded their legislative sessions for the year without passing further restrictive measures. However, these endeavors could have devastating consequences for the well-being of transgender adults. Medical experts express concern over the potential long-term harm in terms of physical and mental health that these political movements that push to limit LGBTQ plus rights will cause. Dr. Carl Street, president of the Professional Association for Transgender Youth, says that anti-trans policy will exacerbate prevalent issues like isolation, limited participation in public life, and hypertension, and subsequently increase the likelihood of heart attacks and strokes. Additionally, isolation correlates with diminished cognitive function and memory loss, compounding the adverse effects on overall well-being. This explains what Florida's LGBTQ plus youth must be going through, as Ron DeSantis never fails to create perplexing anti-LGBTQ plus policies that aim at instilling fear. Well, I mean, it's not wrong. I mean, these things, basically, these laws are created to induce anxiety in minority groups, whichever one they're aiming at. And I mean, their goal is not to make these laws workable. Their goal is to make these laws on the books so that they can have an excuse to prosecute you or persecute you, actually, in this case.
Well, yeah, I mean, DeSantis just caved on "Don't Say Gay" last week when he said, "Okay, you can say gay under a lot of circumstances in court," but that law and its analogs have all been enforced through fear, through fear of the state school board of education, fear of being fired, fear of losing your job, and the consequence not being there for your students.
Right.
So that's what this law, how it has been enforced. And so it's striking to a certain extent that how bad the situation has been in the last couple of 3 years, that only 5 states have enacted anti-LGBTQ plus laws this year, and we're considering that a win.
So, as an MPH holder and also as a survivor advocate, there's a book out there called The Body Keeps Score, and it basically talks about how trauma quite literally is stored within our body. And this segment and this study that Bobby was talking about is exactly that. Yes, it's not individual trauma as in like an intimate partner violence or domestic violence case, but this is specifically violence enacted by the state. And that can 100% also cause trauma within our bodies, which then lead to the health conditions you were talking about, like high blood pressure, like disposition for anxiety, like depression, like disposition to certain diseases, like that all like compounds to one. And that's why we as LGBT people have higher health disparities than other
It also leads us to to relieve our anxiety through unhealthy habits. For example, control substance usage, or, for example, a lot of members in the community smokes for a variety of reasons. But more to the point is that, there are, I'm not trying to trivialize any kind of trauma, but, you have your intimate partner, abuse you can send him away to prison. But a law like this turns every state official, from the local police officer all the way to the governor, into a weapon that can be turned against you.
And this has also, I remember one of these laws was basically aimed at our drag community.
I would also say, though, that this state, violence also trickles down to intimate partner violence. I've been in intimate partners violence relationships because of those laws, because it instills hate in people. And from a state level, yes, a lot is happening there, but it could also lead to individual cases of violence, which again perpetrate the violence.
It seems interesting to me, not to dumb it down, but that's what my brain kind of thinks about a lot of stuff when we have conversations and how do we get people to understand our plight and what we're going through. We've all been to middle school. We all know what it's like to be bullied, and you know what it's like not to want to go to school the next day. So let's just advance that to every aspect of your life. Imagine having to go to the grocery store and being afraid what people are going to say or think because the laws are in their favor to discriminate against you, right? So anybody who's watching this, it's not just about, you can relate to it in one way or another. I'm sure you went to school and had an issue and didn't want to go to school the next day. Just imagine that every part of your life. And I think that's obvious, a minimalization of it, but it's an example I think we can all relate to.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that the youth at Sunshine Pride House are experiencing.
And that's why we really felt that the FLITE model would apply to young people, because as Jasmin said, our young people who go through the foster care system come from that background of trauma. Once we know that a youth is coming from a history of trauma, and we're now applying these types of services and measures to be able to help, we know that it's going to work, because we're dealing with the most traumatized segment of the population, and we have to really build services around that. Unfortunately, the trauma is so high. Unfortunately, our young people are so rejected and just have nowhere else to turn to. They have nowhere else to go to feel safe or to feel embraced or any of those things, So then for us on our end, we're looking at it as this is leading to a whole homelessness crisis, right? It's contributing to these compounding issues that are going on in our community. And instead of being problem solving based, it's just inciting more, chaos and more hate and just more trauma on top of it,
Of course, many states are still in session for this year, for their lawmakers, for their legislatures. We will continue to follow all of their hopefully non-hateful procedures, but we are going to stay on top of this as we go forward.
All right. Next, let's queer up courts. Appoint just one more LGBTQ plus federal judge and Joe Biden will make American history. Recent weeks have seen a significant milestone in LGBTQ plus representation, with the Biden administration confirming Nicole Berner and Melissa DuBose to the federal judiciary, according to data from the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. 11 federal judges identifying as LGBTQ plus have been appointed and confirmed since the start of Biden's presidency, tying a record set during the Obama administration. So, the Biden administration has to appoint one more LGBTQ plus judge, and his name will be carved on American and LGBTQ plus history for appointing the largest number of queer judges. Former President Bill Clinton appointed Deborah A. Batts as the first known LGBTQ plus federal judge in the U.S. in 1994. During the Trump administration, only 2 LGBTQ plus individuals were confirmed as federal judges. CNN analysis of Federal Judicial Center data shows that as of March 12, 2024, only 23 LGBTQ plus judges were serving on U.S. federal courts. This number represents only about 3% of the total 814 active federal judgeships. A 2013 Gallup survey reveals that the percentage of adults identifying as LGBTQ+ in the U.S. has more than doubled in the past decade. This highlights the growing diversity within the LGBTQ+ community and the importance of representation across various sectors, including the judiciary. Queer News Tonight will be reporting on this history-making moment. I think this is so phenomenal, and like it touches back into what we're talking about, all these laws being put in place. Representation will help us continue to make the right choices for everyone, as we know that older generation of people are struggling to fight for power and maintain their control. And as we are slowly making our way in, I think we're gonna begin to see a lot more change.
This is the true gay agenda.
Right.
Yeah, it is. Gay agenda. You know, it goes right up there next to brunch.
Oh yeah.
But as much as I enjoy the joy of representation, as much as I cheer LGBTQ plus members who are being appointed to the federal court system, I think we should also caution ourselves that it is not as much as their actual sexuality that matters, or even gender. It is their judicial, and it is their personal and legal philosophy that matters a lot more.
Absolutely.
I mean, Caitlyn Jenner is a trans woman who
Is
essentially
not advocating
berates
for
other
trans
trans women
yeah.
for a living.
Absolutely.
And we all have seen, we all have met Mr. Clarence Thomas, who is a black man who actively dismantled the Civil Rights Act.
Wow, yeah.
So,
how is
absolutely.
he still alive? I mean, seriously, Biden should really be getting one more appointment out of this. Out of this term, he really should be. But Bobby, to your point, before we move on, 15 years ago, if I would have said old white men make up a minority of the Supreme Court, we all would have said, "Oh my gosh, we won. We won," but we didn't. We didn't win. We've got 4 women and 1 black man, which kind of comprises a majority of the court, but we still don't have positive rulings coming for not just our community, but for humanity in general.
Women or people of color.
But basically, if you're an old white man, you're still in your heyday. Otherwise, you're
I mean,
SOL.
On the opposite of the spectrum, I just want to remind you that Lawrence versus Texas and Obergefell versus Hodges both were written by a Reagan appointed Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
So,
And he was like, and if I just a quick trip down memory lane, I think he was the 3rd choice for that seat. I think he was there was Bork and a different Ginsburg, not RBG, but a different Ginsburg. Both got rejected before they could get through confirmation. So yeah, we did finally get someone who was our ally, but they had to he was like the 3rd choice, and he stealthily went in.
Oh yeah. So next, let's queer up the worldview. Shock as gay Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar announces surprise resignation. Here's why. Ireland's Prime Minister Leo Varadkar has stunned the nation with his resignation, citing personal and political motives. Addressing reporters in Dublin, Varadkar explained his departure as a decision driven by personal and political, but mainly political reasons. He expressed the belief that after 7 years in office, another leader would be better suited to secure re-election. Varadkar, the youngest prime minister in Irish history and the country's first openly gay leader, assumed office in 2017. In 2020, his premiership ended when no party secured a majority in the general election. Recent challenges, including losing 2 referendums to change the constitution for its sexist language. Known for his efforts to liberalize Ireland, particularly in reforming anti-abortion laws and advocating for LGBTQ rights, Varadkar entered politics at 27. He publicly came out as gay in 2015 while serving as Minister of Health, supporting the marriage equality bill. I think it's kind of incredible that in Ireland we see people resigning from positions, but here in the States, these old people won't let it go. They just won't let it go. And this guy seems to be making huge strides in Ireland, advocating for advocating against anti-abortion laws and progressing the LGBT agenda there. I think it's just kind of incredible that the wrong people are just in power here in the States.
I mean, the thing about Irish, just like Ireland, just like Spain, both were within our lifetimes an extremely conservative country. I mean, not even 30 years ago in Ireland, abortion would not be thought of at all. But the change is so fast. Now Spain recognizes same-sex marriage. They have, and Ireland is basically like a green, like a larger version of Massachusetts.
One of the reasons why Spain even became as progressive as it did was because of the Franco dictatorship. So they literally had to go through a really tough, rough, conservative period before they could reach those levels of like progressive attitudes and like strides within the LGBT and broader community. I think, I really don't want to predict anything, but I think that's kind of where we're going at right now.
A few things. There is so much more to this story. And I am not buying word one that comes out of this guy's mouth. I mean, yes, I love him. I'm glad he's done so much for us. Obviously, Ireland passed marriage equality a few years ago with 63% of the vote. So Ireland has come a long way. But however, whenever a politician says, I want to spend more time with my family.
Yeah, it means
no!
No! Before I get caught.
There's a scandal looming in the horizon, and he just wants to basically get out of public spotlight before it arrives.
On that same tone, 7 years is enough. I should step aside and let someone else lead. No! Politicians never think it's enough.
Code.
There should always be. It's totally code. But politically, you can't lose 2 referenda as a leader of a party. Of a governing party. You just can't. So those losses significantly dented his political clout and sapped his political capital that he has on the island. That said, it's very sad that we're going to lose an ally. But, it's Ireland. His party's still in power. And there's no real effective radical right in Ireland. So, if we had to lose an ally, I suppose this is the most strategic one we can lose, but it still hurts. And I wish you the best, but I also am kind of anxious to sit here and read the real story, which we'll probably do in about 2 or 3 weeks. Up next, let's queer up business. Mackenzie Scott says LGBTQ+ are vital agents of change and donates $30 million to LGBTQ+ nonprofits. Philanthropist Mackenzie Scott is making a significant impact by donating more than $30 million to several LGBTQ+ nonprofits across the country. The ex-wife of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos announced her contributions to 15 nonprofits focusing on LGBTQ+ causes. Each will receive $2 million. Recipients include Edge New Jersey, Gender Justice, GLAAD, LGBT Community Center of Greater Cleveland, Long Beach LGBTQ Center, Pacific Center for Human Growth, Pieces Loud, among others. Scott chose the recipients through an open call with more than 6,000 groups applying on her donation database named Yield Giving. While announcing the recipients, Scott said, we are, quote, they are vital agents of change, end quote. Scott got her wealth after divorcing Bezos in 2019. And has donated $17.3 billion. That's like Austin Powers billion with a B to more than 2,300 organizations so far. Initially, she only planned 250 awards of $1 million. Oh, chump change. But she doubled the amount amid criticism from Elon Musk. After he complained about her donations to organizations, Musk said through a now deleted post, quote, super rich ex-wives who hate their former spouse should be listed among reasons that Western civilization died, end quote. Spoiler alert, Musk has been divorced 3 times, and one of his children doesn't even talk to him.
Because she's trans.
Yes. This story, every time we do a story on Mac, I am so happy because she got her divorce settlement and didn't want the money. Let's face it. These days in America, you can live comfortably on $2 billion, give or take. But she's got $150 billion or some insane amount. She's given away $17 billion. She's probably going to give away another $17 billion before we finish this show. So keep your comments quick, Bobby.
Well, it's great,
my
and I
Cash
think, and I think that in the world of liberal philanthropy, that divorce might be the best thing that ever happened to it.
I don't know. I think the
Absolutely.
only thing ending Western civilization is people like Elon Musk. Let's
Yep.
be real.
Yeah, but Teslas are so awesome.
No,
I know.
his
I
brain-
know.
his
I'm a bad
conscience, though.
homosexual. I know.
there's a plethora of other electric cars to partake.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
You know,
It's kind of like my Ford Mustang. I know Henry Ford was a terrible person,
well, he is also dead.
but oh
love
my
your
God, I
Mustang.
love my Mustang. Oh my gosh, I love my Mustang.
Well, he is also dead for 90 years.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess
All
we
right.
could put a sticker on it.
But Mac, thank you for supporting our community. We love you.
Tonight's broadcast is presented by viewers like you and the generous support by Visit Lauderdale. Everyone under the sun. Next. Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting the partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
Well, you know, I am so lucky and excited. I am doing a brand new show here on the Happening Out television network. It's called The W Boys, WeHo to Wilton. I'm Wilton. My broadcast partner, Eric Restivo, represents WeHo, and we look at the best culture and best pop culture going on every week in South Florida, WeHo, and across the country. Here's a look at what's coming up this week.
I'm Eric Restivo from WeHo.
I'm John Hayden from Wilton, and we are the W Boys.
Join us this week. It's episode 2. We're diving into all of our favorite celebrity gossip and some of our favorite games.
And the one, the only, the iconic Billy Porter talks with me on the red carpet. So you got to see that interview. It all drops 3 p.m. Eastern on Friday on Happening Out. See you there.
See you there. Stay slutty.
Well, we finish tonight's queer news headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Ricky Martin's next role, a villain, dark and hated. Ricky Martin returns to acting alongside esteemed actresses in Apple TV's limited series Palm Royale, as he marks the 25th anniversary of his debut English album. The eternal gay heartthrob shared his experiences with Out magazine. Martin discussed the evolving landscape for gay artists in entertainment and his desire for a challenging antagonist role. Martin told Out, quote, "I want to be an antagonist. I want to be dark and I want to be hated." End quote. Gay community can never hate Martin, but we surely love to see you in a hate-worthy characters. Prior to Palm Royale, Martin appeared in Ryan Murphy's praised series, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, American Crime Story.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. New Interview with the Vampire will be gayer and darker. Exclusive first details. In 2022, Interview with the Vampire debuted based on Anne Rice's novel portraying Louis Pont de Loc, played by Jacob Anderson, and its passionate bond with vampire Lestat de Lancourt, played by Sam Reed. With season 2 updates, including a casting switch, a new teaser has been announced via Anne Rice's Immortal Universe X account. The extended preview features bloodshed and queer longing, typical of vampire lore, starting with Daniel Malloy interviewing Duloc's lover Armand. Interview with the Vampire premieres on AMC and AMC Plus in the U.S. on May 12th.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up students and youth culture. Chasten Buttigieg focuses on attacks on LGBTQ plus kids. During a guest lecture at Michigan State University, he likened politics to theater, criticizing politicians attacking LGBTQ plus individuals as bad actors. Following the death of Nex Benedict, a 16-year-old indigenous person who committed suicide after being attacked in a school restroom, Buttigieg has emphasized the need for safer environments. Rates of suicide are alarmingly high among trans youth, particularly people of color. Buttigieg expressed concerns as a father for his child's safety and the world they're going to inherit, vowing to intensify his advocacy for LGBTQ plus rights, saying, quote, "Politics is supposed to be about making people's lives better, safer, and easier. You have some adults hell-bent on making it harder."
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up trans rights. Elliot Page reveals what the Umbrella Academy Season 4 will be about. Elliot Page has offered a sneak peek into the highly awaited 4th and final season of Netflix's The Umbrella Academy. The show, which premiered in 2019, has left fans eager for answers to lingering mysteries. Speaking to Radio Times, the 37-year-old actor hinted at the upcoming season, promising the familiar chaos and hijinks associated with the Hargreaves siblings. Set to premiere on August 8th, the 4th season's teaser showcases the reunited siblings raising a toast with the caption, "One last shot for old time's sake." As anticipation builds up, viewers can expect a thrilling conclusion to the beloved series. That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ plus news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of a Hotspots magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm John Hayden, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including the fabulous Jasmin Pryce Lords, Dr. Bobby Huen, Bad Papi, and no longer first-timer, Christine Frederick. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
We will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you an incredibly good
Evening.